Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Crafty Concepts with Erin. Today I have here the Timber collection, and this is as manly can be. Channel the flannel, sawdust is basically man glitter. I mean, this is perfect for the manly guy in your life. This definitely fits my hubby. We do a lot of wood cutting in the fall. We spend a lot of time in the mountains, so I actually bought several of these packs. But if you look at this beautiful paper collection, these are awesome, but if you set them aside and just focus on these three, we have Christmas in July. Nothing says Christmas more than red plaid. We're going to make 3 Christmas cards using this collection right here. I'm starting with a piece cut 11 inches by 4 1/4 and folding it so it's a top folding note card. You'll need a piece of vanilla, our plaid, and then this pattern paper. And I've cut this little trim down to isolate the trees from this pattern paper. And then a circle, and this is from our stitch circle. That's the largest one with the stitching detail around the edge. To add some interest, I'm going to dovetail the bottom of this piece here, and it's going to go offset on the left-hand side of our card. We'll layer up our pattern paper over the top, and I love to ink the edges, especially of the lighter color pattern papers. This just makes them pop and finishes them off nicely. So I've just applied a little black ink around the edge of that, and now I'm going to adhere our layers down. I'm reinforcing with a bit of liquid glue because I'm using an inexpensive tape runner I got from my local Walmart, and it's not very reliable. So until mine comes in, I'm using the glue just to make sure my pieces don't come apart. So we'll get this tacked down, and now when I adhere this piece, I want to make sure that my margins are about the same on either side. Now I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing, but to the left and right my pattern paper is the same distance, leaving the same amount of that vanilla. And then we're going to adhere this cute little tree trim piece. And then I love this Gnome Matter stamp set. These are garden gnomes from the current catalog, but I know I'm not the only one that thought Christmas. Just by switching up the color palette, we can turn these garden gnomes into Christmas gnomes very easily and get more mileage from our stamp set. Now I'm using the Intense Black ink, which is a solvent-based ink, so it's marker friendly. I'm going to practice stamping my gnome just a few times on a piece of paper, and then I'll bring in a piece of vanilla cardstock and stamp for real this time. So we'll stamp our little character. This is available with the coordinating dies, which I just love. It makes it so convenient. So I'm going to go ahead and line up my metal die here, and then tape it down, and I'll run this through my Spellbinders die cutting machine, and then we can color them in. So I'm using my dark red Spectrum Noir TriBlend marker, and these, if you're not familiar with them, they have all 3 shades in one. The light, the medium, and the dark. Makes it super simple, takes the guesswork out of it. Anybody can color. I'm going around the edge with my darkest shade, and then I'll repeat that with my medium, and then finish up with the highlight in the center using my lightest shade. And the trick is, when you use that light color marker, is to go over all of the already colored areas, and that will blend it out perfectly. My good friend Julie Carrier, she just did a video making Christmas cards with these same products, and she showed a way you can blend a few different shades of markers to get your gnome to match the cranberry colored cardstock. Her cards are beautiful. Be sure to check them out. I will leave a link below, and after you watch my video, hop on over to her video for more Christmas card fun. Now you saw I used a little of the fair skin marker for his nose. I used the light color and then just put a medium casting under his nose where the shadow would naturally be. So I decided I want his pants red. I was contemplating black, but I'm going to go ahead and shade that in red. I added black accents, his shoes and his little cuffs, and we're just about done. I'm going to leave his beard white. You could put a little gray in there, but there you go. Cute little Christmas gnome from a garden gnome stamp. I've decided to add a black circle from our largest basic circles just to back that stitch circle piece. And then this is the Say It in Style stamp set from the annual catalog. It has sentiments for every occasion on there. I chose Merry Christmas, and you can see I'm just practicing like I love to do, and we're going to stamp this right across the bottom, and it fits perfectly. Merry Christmas. And now I can adhere my little gnome character into place, just using a little liquid glue for my circles. And then I'm going to pop my gnome up with some dimensional foam just for some interest. I love to use the foam squares from the inside of this shaker circle. It's like a little bonus there. So we just pop him up for some dimension, and I'm going to add a few gems. These are left over from my stash, and I'm just creating a triangle formation using 3 gems around him. Now the inside's black, and you wouldn't be able to write your sentiment in there, so I'm just going to add a piece of vanilla cardstock to the inside as well, so you have a place to write your Christmas message. There's card number 1, all finished. So let's move on to card number 2. Now this card has a kind of a homespun Christmas feel. We're starting with a piece of craft colored cardstock, and I've cut down my tree pattern paper. We're just going to cover the top third portion of our card front, and then I'm using the red plaid again for the bottom. So I'm going to blend these two together. This is a zip strip cut off for the branding strip, and I only am using 2 little pieces. I could have gone all the way across, but I wanted to save that. Every little bit counts, and you won't see it, so I'm just using a piece on the left and right that's going to stick out there, and that centerpiece can be used for another card. So I've gone ahead and used my medium stitched frame for our centerpiece here and cut that out of vanilla. And now here's this timber card making stamp, and on it is this cute little Christmas tree here. And this is a fishing themed summer stamp, but we're going to turn it into a Christmas stamp. So I am going to use New England Ivy, and I want to do some second generation stamping. So we stamp it off first on a piece of scratch paper, and then stamp the second time on our project to get a lighter version of our ink. And now I want to use the full first generation stamp, so we get that true New England Ivy dark color. And I stamped it on scratch paper because we're going, or scrap paper, we're going to cut that out. Before we go any further, I'm going to use my Merry Christmas stamp here right across the bottom, just like so. Perfect. And then that little tree we're going to pop up with some pieces of dimensional foam that I've just torn into little squares, and I kind of off center them for some interest. And now we can go ahead and adhere this to the center of our card. Isn't that cute? We're not quite done yet. I have a few more finishing touches. I'm just lifting it up so I can eyeball that it's straight. And now I have this cute little jute bow that I'm just going to add again to reinforce that kind of homespun with the craft. And I'm using a glue dot to adhere this down. That works pretty well for ribbons and fabric. And now for a little added shimmer and finishing touch, I grab my clear shimmer brush and I'm going over this center tree. Now this is the clear brush, and it did activate that ink and kind of bleach it out a bit. So I decided to grab a green colored shimmer brush and go over it, and it fixed the problem perfectly. It looks pretty dark, but when it dries, it'll be the beautiful green color with the shimmer and look fabulous. Now for my card base, I'm using a white card and envelope from the value pack, and it's a side folding note card, and I'm going to adhere this just right centered, and that looks great. Card number 2 is done. Let's move on to card number 3. Again, we're starting with a piece of the black cardstock folded into a top folding note card, and then I'm going to adhere my cardstock, or my pattern paper here. This is very pretty, and we'll get this all centered up. And now we're going to bring in that red plaid, and this time I'm going to adhere it in the middle. Now I'm just dovetailing the bottom, and we're going to get that centered. I thought it would be fun to do a Christmas shaker card, so put this right in the center like so. And now I've cut a circle from vanilla, and then I have this black piece with the stitching detail. This is the thin cuts for shaker cards. So it cuts all the pieces you need. And we're going to stamp Merry Christmas. Now just to switch it up a little bit, I want to do some masking instead of having it Merry Christmas straight across because it wouldn't be visible. We're going to mask off different portions of it and get a little bit different look. So I'm using my masking tape, and I covered the word Merry, and now I'm just stamping Christmas. And I want to make sure this is really clean, so stamp it off, use your chamois, make sure there's no ink on there whatsoever. And now we can use that same masking tape and repeat the process with the word Merry. So we're just stacking it on top, and there, that turned out perfectly. You can cut your stamps, but this way you don't have to. So I'm going to go ahead and get this tacked down in the center on the upper third of the card. And now we're ready to build our shaker element. So we have these clear acetate windows that come with everything you need, the acetate and then the foam. And then I'm going to want to put some sequins in there. So I didn't realize I had already pulled out my julep colored sequins, and it was on the desk there. But I like to go around with my paper piercer and loosen that outer circle. You get all these foam pieces inside to use for, you know, just dimensional foam on other elements. So we just need this circle. We get it tacked down into place, and now I'm going to use my anti-static pouch inside just to prevent my adhesive from sticking to the acetate window. Sprinkle your desired amount of adhesive in there, and now we can remove our protective plastic piece from the top of our foam circle. There is a protective piece of on one side of the acetate circle, so be sure to remove that. And then put this down. I still have the sequins jumping up to reach the plastic just a little bit, and make sure all of your sequins is moving around. So then we want to finish this off with this top circle piece, and I'm going to use this liquid glue to do that. It allows you to slide it around and get it just perfect. So I could see a little bit of vanilla cardstock from the side and from the white foam, which I went back later and colored in with a black marker to help that blend in. I've already gone ahead and repeated the process and created a second gnome here. We're going to use those leftover adhesive squares, and I'm just seeing what side I want to position my little gnome character on. And I think definitely the left. So I'm just fussing with this circle, making it perfect, close to perfect anyway. And I'm going to put my little gnome guy. Now we don't need foam on the top because remember that shaker circle is already elevated. And now I felt it needed just a little something something. So I dug into my Christmas stash. This stamp is from last year. It was a Christmas special. And I went ahead and stamped and colored and cut out 2 of these little holly berries. And I just thought this really looked nice to balance out my card. I just needed something on that upper right corner. Now for my inside piece, again, we need a white light colored background for someone to write their sentiment. And so I'm just decorating the inside with those same holly berries. I thought that would look really nice. I'm not going to color the whole image, just the red berries for a little pop of color. And now we can go ahead and glue this down to the inside of our card. Again, so we can write our Christmas message, and those little holly berries just look so fun. It just adds a nice little surprise when you open the card. And here is card number 3. Shaker cards are always so much fun, and they just look really nice, and I love to create these. So again, top folding note card stands up on display perfectly. Let's go ahead and bring in those other cards. I'm calling this one our Homespun Christmas with a trio of trees. And then we have our first card with the little gnome guy there. So very fun, all very festive, and all made with non-Christmas products. Be sure to get your timber paper collection. Everything is linked below. And again, check out Julie's video for more crafty inspiration. Here's another video you may enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.